Child sexual abuse is a growing epidemic that is plaguing our nation today. What can be done to stop this reoccurring violent acts of sexual abuse against our children? The answer is raising the stakes against these offenders by making mandatory longer sentences with the first offense regardless of age or gender. In order to understand what makes a person, male or female, young or old, a pedophile, people must first understand what a pedophile is. A pedophile is an individual with intense, recurrent sexual arousing fantasies toward children. Most people often think of pedophile as adult men, homeless, or gay. Most children don't even know the word pedophile. They only think of a person that will hurt them as a stranger or an ugly man. The truth is, a pedophile can be anyone. A teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, and yes, even a religious leader. Pedophiles range from saints to monsters. However, in spite of this fact, most pedophiles aren't charged, investigated, or convicted because someone up the chain viewed them as being nice and didn't seem the type. The question becomes, are people that commit sexual offenses able to be rehabilitated? Researchers say the essence of criminal rehabilitation is remorse. Their research shows that pedophiles do not regret their actions, they glory in them. They only regret the possibility of the consequences to themselves, not the danger or damage done to their victims. Statistics show that child molesters and pedophiles are the least likely to be prosecuted, and when they are given alternative sentencing options such as psychiatrist treatment or probation. Some people argue psychological treatment and probation are harsh enough, especially for first-time offenders. I'm not against treatment for these first-time offenders or probation, but I am against the lightness in which these offenses are handled. There are individuals with other addictions, such as drugs and alcohol, that commit other crimes to support their habit, such as shoplifting or prostitution. These individuals are given max sentencing. There are also those individuals that are incarcerated and given max life sentences for trafficking drugs or armed robbery. These people are given mandatory sentences. So if we are to believe that child pedophilia is an addiction, then shouldn't those individuals be sentenced just as harshly? The question that remains unanswered is that, is child pedophilias and molesters any less of a threat to our communities than the drug dealer, the armed robbery, or the prostitute? Although there have been some laws put in place in an effort to help protect our children, these laws alone are not enough. One law is Megan's Law. Megan's Law requires offenders to register in the state in which they are living in, with the state officials and local police officers. The problem with Megan's Law is that many of these offenders never register. And when they do, they often move from place to place, going undetected in our communities while given the opportunity to reoffend and terrorize our children. Another law is chemical castration. This is being made mandatory in several states. Chemical castration is when the male offender is given a medication such as the Depo-Provera shot to curb sexual libido or sexual fantasies and urges. The problem with chemical castration is that if pedophiles have their urges from the mental state, then giving them a medication to curb their sexual appetite would not solve this problem. There are many courts today that try children as adults because they feel the child is old enough to accept accountability for their actions. But the irony of that statement is that there are not enough courts that support the position that pedophiles should be accountable for their actions. If there is to be an effective change in this fight against pedophiles, then there must be a change in how the system handles these dangerous criminals. What can be done to stop this recurring violent act against our children? Again, raising the stakes against these offenders, giving out longer sentences, no longer give them slaps on the wrist, better monitoring by our state and local officials. Even if it means taxing the citizens. We are taxed for parks, roads, and highways and tolls. So should we not be taxed to save the future generation of our country? We must come together and act in order for these laws to be effective. We must go to the House of Representatives and petition the laws dealing with sexual offenses against our children be restructured to protect the children that is the future backbone of our country.